Book of Heaven, Volume 32, April 23, 1933. How the life of Jesus was a continuous abandonment in the hands of the Father. One who lives in the divine will never interrupts her journey. Example of the clock. The soul takes heaven in her power and storms it. I continue to think about the pains of my passionate Jesus, and as I reached the last breath of his life, I heard resounding in the depth of my heart, "Into your hands, O Father, I commend my spirit." It was the most sublime lesson for me, the calling of my whole being into the hands of God, the full abandonment into his paternal arms. And while my mind wandered amid many reflections, my suffering Jesus, visiting my little soul, told me,
"My blessed daughter, my life down here, as it began, so it ended. From the first instant of my conception, it was a continued act of mine. I can say that in each instant, I placed myself in the hands of my celestial Father. This was the most beautiful homage that his Son gave him, the adoration most profound, the sacrifice most heroic and complete, the love of sonship most intense that I gave him. My full abandonment in his hands rendered my humanity speaking, and with authoritative voice, asking for everything and obtaining everything I wanted. To a son of his, abandoned in his arms, nothing could my celestial Father deny. My abandonment of each instant was the act most pleasing, so much so that I wanted to crown the last breath of my life with the words, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." The virtue of abandonment is the greatest virtue. It is to commit God to taking care of the one who is abandoned in his arms. Abandonment says to God, "I don't want to know anything of myself. This life of mine is yours, not mine, and yours is mine. Therefore, if you want to obtain everything, if you really want to love me, live abandoned in my arms, let me hear the echo of each instant of my life. Into your hands I abandon the whole of myself, and I will carry you in my arms as the dearest of my daughters."
After this, I was following everything that the divine will has done, and I felt an order in me, one after the other, and I was supposed to follow them. So I remained surprised, and my sweet Jesus added,
"My little daughter of my will, you must know that one who does my divine will and lives in it cannot do without keeping, ever present to her, all the acts done by it, because my will holds everything within itself, and everything it has done always in act. Therefore it is no wonder that in the soul in whom it reigns, it holds all of its acts with all the order it kept in creating them, and the creature with all ease follows them one by one to unite herself with it, as though wanting to do what my own will did. If she is together with it, how can she abstain from doing what it does, and from placing into the field of action, identified with it, her little love, her adoration, her thank you, her attentions and wonderments at work so great? Even more, you must know that my will winds the soul up, and she offers herself to receive it. All our works are caught in this winding, and the soul, following the winding, follows and becomes aware of all our works. It happens as to a clock. If it is winded, it moves its little wheels. It marks the minutes, the hours, and the one who possesses it has the good of knowing all the hours of the day. But if it is not winded, the clock does not mark anything. It is as if it had no life, and the one who possesses it does not have the good of knowing the distinct hours of the day. Now we can call one who lets our will reign our clock, who, being winded, marks the minutes and the hours of our works, and has the good of remaining aware of the hours of the day of our divine will. Now, if one winds the clock, it moves until the winding is exhausted, nor does it interrupt its journey. In the same way, the soul, if she receives the winding of my will, must do her journey, and if she wanted to stop, she cannot, because the winding moves the little wheels of her soul, and makes her go forward in the great day of the hours of our works. Therefore, be attentive to receive the good of this divine winding, if you want to know the hours of the day of the supreme fiat. More so, since when the soul disposes herself to do my will and to follow it, All the things it has done compete in order to enter into that act. In fact, being a single act, it does not have detached acts, and therefore everything it did in the order of creation, of redemption, in the angels, in the saints, it encloses everything in the work of the creature that operates in it. Because if it gives itself, it does not give itself by half, but in its entirety. And just as the sun, if it gives itself to the earth, does not give half of itself, but the whole of itself with the fullness of its light. And because of this, marvels take place on the face of the earth. The same with my will. If the creature calls it as life into her acts, it gives itself with all the fullness of its light, sanctity, power, and works. If it did not carry everything, it would be like entering into the creature and into her acts, like a king without cortege, without an army, without creative power, and therefore like keeping the wonders that we can perform as though inoperative. Ah, no. One who operates in our will must be able to say, I take heaven in my power, I storm heaven, and I enclose it into my act.
Fiat.